fix some things real quick. You're gonna see two of me again.
Again.
All right.
No, I should have just assumed you
Nah,
got
I
this.
look, I look like I'm recording like a YouTube apology.
Yeah. Got
He's
that
finna
lo-fi
Travis
mic
Scott.
quality is what you got right now.
Want me to turn it up, bro?
You want you to turn
Turn it
up?
up, bro.
Wait, what do you mean turn up? Mike looks
Like
like he's
a-
filming an
bro.
apology video for bullying some kid. Mike should apologize to Art for making her pay for dinner.
Damn.
Are you gonna dab on that girl when Yo beats O's? She does not seem like she's super duper invested in American football. She's going to the game this next weekend, from what I hear.
Per sources.
Per source. I don't. Yeah, we'll see how that goes. But I guess we have to. We're gonna.
I can't believe. Like, that trade was good for both sides. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But, bro, my team is stacked now.
Yeah.
All right,
You
we
see,
got the
this
lighting
is
adjustment
what's
on.
happening right now, AGB. You're watching the mental collapse of a Titans fan. Okay.
And then come week, like, 5, you're going to want him back.
Okay. Yeah. Admittedly, but if you know his
Can't
whole
wait for Derrick
if his
Henry
O
to have
line
500
can't sort its
rushing
shit
yards.
out, then I'm just gonna apologize to you. Because it's
Isn't
not
Ben
even
Jones
him.
hurt
It's
then right
the
now?
O line. Oh, Mike. AGB's mic just went. Lol.
Mike's mic died. Yep.
That's crazy. Don't hear you. But I think it's because he's like trying to fiddle around with the sound settings, and then like every once in a while, just somehow clicks a button. Oh,
Like
is it a bad cord? Is it a bad mic cord? Ah, I see.
Oh well,
That-
please hashtag fuck.
I did not get fleeced. Okay. I can do the intro. I'll go through the games in order. I'll guide the discussion. All I need is like general thoughts from you guys. If you guys are just want to like scamper to look at
All right, wait.
Scores and
What's
shit.
the first game you're gonna do?
So-
What's the first game you're gonna do?
first game will probably be. Okay, do you guys want to do A&M Miami or do you want to do Auburn Penn State?
I'll go
Oh.
him and Miami.
Hello.
Hello.
Okay, let's do this quick so AGB's mic doesn't just start eating
You see.
eating dirt
Okay.
again.
Go for it.
Okay. I will. Where is the box score for this sucker? I'll pull that up. No.
Honestly, I've thought about using my headset mic, but it sounds way worse.
I mean, if it comes
It
to
sounds like audible garbage.
it is fine. We don't. Look,
Look,
you see what camera quality Mike's using? You think we care about quality around here?
Fuck you. Anyways,
Oh,
anyways,
that was great.
Um,
That was fantastic.
where is this?
back to
Okay.
Atlas with the Channel 4 news.
The Channel 4 news. Also, we're gonna, at some point, we're just gonna briefly mention Troy App State. I feel like the people want that. It was
Troy
where
App
College
State.
Game Day
Oh,
was
yeah.
for some reason.
Yeah,
They got a good game out of it though.
They did.
Okay.
That
This
was a wild
is-
finish. That's all I know.
The bit sounds. How dare you? Why do you think we turn them off? Because we're going to be clipping this out and putting it on the YouTube. And what we don't need is for our new subscribers to hear in the middle of our college football take. Oh yes, Danny! Like, oh my God, someone just walked in my hallway. Oh my goodness, they didn't hear that. Anyways. How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the AMA Sports Show. This is the first ever episode of Sunday Morning Quarterback. It'll have a different layout at some point, but
So,
this
yeah.
is our dedicated college football show that has been pushed by yours truly, Atlas, but I'm joined by my fellow lovely podcast
Yeah.
partners in AGB and Mike. How's it going, y'all?
Yeah, is my mic gone again?
No, it's there.
No, but
Hey,
we're
it's
good.
here.
We're
All
good.
right. Hey, what's up? How's it going, you guys? This is kind of like a last second thing because I was just chilling out on Atlas the stream. He said, "Hey, you guys want to
We
talk about
all
college
were.
football?" It's like, "Oh, okay,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
sure, let's do it."
yeah.
So, to be fair, I have zero notes, so I have no idea what we're talking about.
Okay,
But we're about to talk some football.
we are some
Some
college football.
football, and that's all that matters.
Uh, First thing we're going to talk about what happened on Lyle Field in College Station, Texas, this
Mm,
past Saturday. Or Lyle Field? I meant to say Kyle Field. That was kind of an L.
Kyle Field.
The Texas
Atlas father.
A&M Aggies beat Mario Cristobal's Hurricanes of Miami, 17 to
That game
9.
was nuts.
Um, do you guys have anything to say about the game? You guys look at you guys got some things before I just jump in.
Well, I predicted
Yeah.
that incorrectly. I said that the U was going to drop like another 40 on them, but they didn't even get to double digits. They had a very measly 17 to 19. I mean 17 to 9. Yeah, I was kind of disappointed when I saw that score. Not just because I
Hmm.
got it wrong, but I was like, oh, I thought they were going to put up more of a fight than that. But hey, they are, they are what they are, and they have a pretty. I don't want to say super easy schedule on the way out, but I mean they have a pretty their difficulty from this point on is way lesser than what it has been up to this point. So I think they're going to start winning some games. I'm excited to see what they do. But
Yeah, I agree.
yeah, I know.
Yeah, so what I saw from the Aggies here is a very, very good rushing offense. They put up 105 rushing yards against, well, a top 25 school. It's hard to do, obviously. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, and then another bad thing is that, man, that Miami rushing game was also really, really good. And
Hmm.
it's just the fact it came down to that passing game, and technically the Hurricanes ruled it, and it was just a defensive battle, I guess.
Yeah. To answer Muhammad in the chat, it is 9 points, as in 3 field goals. The Hurricanes did not get a touchdown. And in perhaps classic Cristobal fashion, uh, team can't produce on the road. It was really just a lack of execution at the end. Because I mean, if you just look at the box score at this game, like afterwards, not knowing what the score might be, and you see that Miami goes for almost 400 yards of total offense compared to
You
just
think
over
Hurricane,
250 for
you think
the A&M Aggies, you think Miami's
you
going to win
think
that game.
yeah,
You see
but
like Max Johnson, who the LSU transfer who got started this week for Texas A&M, 50%. I mean, it's okay. He completed 10 passes for 140 and a touchdown. That's not like a winning stat line. It just isn't. But I honestly just feel bad for Tyler Van Dyke. Um,
yeah,
it was I think a couple things I want to take away from this game is Miami has the same issue they had last year, that their receivers just can't catch. They turn butterfingers during random parts of the game, and that just incredibly hurts their momentum. As Muhammad said, 400 yards of offense. Don't see that, so that's blasphemous. Obviously, that's something
That is
they
wild.
gotta hammer out. Even with their rushing offense, like Texas A&M didn't look amazing. They weren't incredible by
you got
any
the
way,
job
shape,
done
or
though.
form. They got the job done. I mean, I think both Mike and I predicted A&M to win. I said
Yeah,
wounded animal, but wasn't thinking this would be the result. I think,
yeah,
um, I mean, but if there was a way for A&M to pull it out, it would be in a very gritty game, like the one we just saw.
yeah,
Um,
man. The Aggies looked great in that red zone defense, bro. They
right.
were getting multiple stops.
Yeah, and they covered the point spread at 6.5. So if anyone
Yeah,
bet on the over on
Yeah.
that, or I guess it would have been the over. They would have
it
got
would
it.
have been over.
Next game. Uh, let's go to perhaps one of the weirdest scenes I have ever seen, and that being Jordan Hare Stadium being silent in the fourth quarter down in Auburn, Alabama.
uh,
That was wild. That was a wild ass game because I mean everyone, including me, and including I think all of us here, thought it was going to be a close game.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think I know I picked Penn State. I think I don't
I'm
I
not sure why I think.
yeah, and I know there was an Auburn pick. There were some Auburn picks, and I feel like there was a
I think
reasonable
I picked
pick
Penn
to
State.
going in. Um,
Yeah.
and then we realized just how bad the Auburn quarterback room is.
Yeah, and we just
Yeah.
realized how bad Auburn is as a team.
You know, I was for some reason I think I was more worried about Penn State's ability to win on the road than I was about the fact that they were only able to put up 24 points against San Jose State.
Yeah, that's not a good
And
look.
that, in hindsight, I mean, at least I got my pick right, but it just shows in this. Yeah. Honestly, oh, well, I see two of myself because I think AGB just died.
Ajva died.
So that's,
Ajva died.
we don't talk about. Oh, maybe, yes. You're not, we can't hear you anymore, but, everything's right in this world, as in terms of camera. Um, yeah, Mike, I'll let you go first again. What are we thinking about, what do we think about this game?
So, Auburn tried two quarterbacks this game. TJ Finley, Ashfold, Robbie Ashfold. They both didn't look bad per se, but they didn't look good either. They
Yeah,
both had combined total of 190 something, 196. Both had an interception each. Robbie Ashford ended with a
296
touchdown though.
combined.
Piss off. Anyways,
You can't do math, bro. No.
but they did have both have an INT, which is not going to work out well. Again, also the rushing offense was just spaced out too much. You didn't have that one dominant player for them,
Mhm.
and then their defense just did nothing all game.
Yeah, I mean,
Their best player had 5 tackles.
it was a competitive first half. I guess we can talk about Auburn first because I mean, if we're being honest, think that's probably this game signaled the end of Brian Harsin being well. He might not be fired yet. Oh yeah, the current topic is incorrect. I'll fix that. Brian Harsin might not be fired yet, but I think he's definitely on his way out. Um,
Yeah.
it's sad because of course there's the whole thing preseason, yada yada yada. People wanted him out. He did the
Yeah.
whole like Braveheart thing. He's like, we got this, and then you lose by 29 at home. Uh, but Robbie Ashford, I like to see him throwing a touchdown as an Oregon transfer. That's just me. I like to see my boys succeeding. But when arguably your best player has 9 carries for 39 yards and Tank
Yeah.
Bigsby. Um, but I think with that being said, though, the real killer of this game was the turnovers.
Yeah.
Auburn had 4 turnovers to Penn State 0. And you're not going
Still
to win with
less
that.
than the Bengals week
2
one.
picks, 2 fumbles. You can't expect any team to be able to overcome that, and I think AGB is raiding some strawberry milk there.
I won't be scared of the interceptions as much as I'd be scared of your ball control in that game. 2 fumbles is
Yeah,
not a good look in the game.
yeah, it's not great,
You can
but yeah,
you can afford to be picked off twice in
mhm,
the game. That's not the problem.
yeah. But I do want to touch on because obviously Penn State looked really good.
Yeah.
Um, and I think a couple things for them to highlight. Well, the main thing I want to highlight from them is that their freshman running backs, Singleton and Allen, both had 2
Yeah.
touchdowns. Singleton obviously had more touches and outperformed Allen in some
Well,
ways. I
yeah.
mean, it's kind of unbalanced because Singleton had that like 50-yard rush. But I mean, if they are going to keep that rushing offense throughout the season, we might see some things from this Penn State team. Uh, and they might be able to
Yeah.
do some wild shit. I
Yeah.
don't know what that inherently entails, but you know, I'm a little bit more excited for the Ohio State game now. Let's just put it that way. I know that's pretty far down the road, but we'll see how that goes. AGB, you got anything?
Yeah, that game looked it's really that game in particular looked tough because like you guys said, wherever we're just killing them, they just couldn't seem to get the ball down the field, all that stuff. Penn State it looked good. I think Penn State will be. I think it typically comes down to like in the Big Ten, you typically have like Penn State, Ohio State, or Michigan. I think Penn State will
Mm-hmm.
actually be like, or probably I don't think they're going to be the best team, but they'll
Mm-hmm.
probably be like for the second spot. If Ohio State starts to slip off, they might get a sneaky second place in front of them. I don't see that happening. I mean, if Michigan falls off, they get a second. They sneak in the second, but they're looking like a pretty solid team, man. Like you said, that significance of winning on the road that far away by that margin is pretty significant. Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Muhammad, I do not know
just
if
think
he
that might be
knows like
cool.
he sounds like he's a member of Daft Punk in the other room, but I think that's it's fine. It's fine. We'll
Do I sound like I'm in the other room?
you sound like you're a member of Daft Punk in the other room.
Oh no.
Um okay. Next game. Uh I'll let you pick, Mike. Do you want to go to Eugene, Oregon, or do you want to go to South Bend, Indiana?
We'll go to Eugene.
Um Sounds like a plan. I'm the only one
I
here
get
who
it.
picked the Ducks to win, and I know that's because of
Wait,
my
no,
Ducks
I
fan.
picked the Ducks as
That
well.
is
I
fake
picked the
news. You
Ducks as
picked
well.
BYU.
No, I did not pick BYU.
Roll the
I did not
tape.
pick
Roll the
BYU.
tape.
What'd you say? BYBR. Who's that?
BYR. Yep. I did not
um,
pick. I mean, technically, I did not
Also,
pick
on
BYR
my
either.
having left in the other room.
yeah. Um, Mike, I'll let you start it. I'm liking the trend. Let's keep Mike's going first. What were
Yeah,
your thoughts about the game? Let me change the current topic while you're speaking on it.
yeah, man. I really really liked Oregon this game against. If we're being honest, a team that was coming into it, we thought they were better. Let's be fair with this. We may have done a hot shot predictions, but of course BYU obviously was slated to be the better team.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and man, Oregon just outscored them heavily this game. Their rushing
I,
offense was pretty solid. Bo Nix ran for 35 yards, which I really like from him. Troy Franklin, one of my favorite Pac-12 receivers, 84 yards. Like to see it from him. And then the defense only allowed 20 points against a pretty good BYU offense. I really like that from Oregon.
Yeah. Um, I agree. I
I
so
wasn't able to
AGB, you want to go?
because I know that you're going to talk about. I know you're going to talk about Oregon for like 10 minutes. Let me just get my little speed.
Oh yeah. I'm not gonna talk about Oregon for 10 minutes. I'll let you know. It will be like 5.
Okay, listen. I listen. I'm not going to be one of those type of like. We're not official like analysts or anything, but I'm not going to be an analyst over here saying like, all right, every take that I have is accurate. Bo Nix proved me wrong this week, and I think that you guys can go back to the tape.
Mm-hmm.
It is documented. I said I hope that Bo Nix proves me wrong, and that's what he did. Now I do have to say I do have to kind of piggyback off of what Mike said. Looking at the rushing numbers, that had to have opened up a lot of space for him down that field. They had four rushers over 30 yards with Jordan James, Bo Nix using his legs and making some plays. Noah Whittington and Marquise Irving. That's huge. 13 for 18, that's a pretty solid completion percentage, about 72. But you're only throwing 18 throws. I'd like to see a little bit more completion there. But 222 yards, 2 touchdowns, and no interceptions. That's really solid. Um, I I said that I thought that the Cougars had way better, like a way better quarterback, and I'm gonna say again, I was wrong. I was dead wrong. Like Bo Nix, like looks solid. The rest of the team looks solid. Um, that's really odd to say about that. Bo Nix proved me wrong, and I'm gonna admit it. I'm not gonna sit here and act like I didn't have a bad play. I didn't have a bad
Actually, one more thing I want to touch on before we go to Atlas here is that I like how Oregon brought in Ty Thompson and he threw an interception.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Okay. I just to touch on that before I go into my spiel. Um, Ty Thompson is the reason BYU have 20 points here. Okay, actually, I'm not going to fully say that, but he was in for 2 drives, and both of them gave really good field position to BYU, and both they scored on. So, beyond that, I actually want to talk about BYU first, because I don't want to hear any BYU slander after they got upset by the Ducks, okay? Jordan Hall...
At SCO Ducks, I just saw that.
Yeah, SCO Ducks. Hall was great.
Moore.
Jaron Hall? Jaron Hall? He was...
What a clown.
Jaron Hall.
He... I mean, over 300 yards passing. And I know it doesn't really reflect in the final score. That's honestly generous to BYU. He did what he could. He was... 2 receivers weren't there for him, his top 2. They were missing people on the D-line. This was... You know, besides them getting whacked here a little bit, he was the best performing person on their team. And I think it kind of comes down to what we talked about in the previous podcast about Oregon not having good third down defense. I have a new thesis about this. I think Oregon's run defense is so good that it forces into third and long and shows that Oregon's pass defense is bad. Or not bad. I shouldn't say bad. It's not as good. It's not like top 25 quality pass defense. It's maybe top 50. But its rush defense, on the other hand, you're only allowing BYU 61 yards. They couldn't get anything throughout the game. It was being there. It just felt like they tried to bump the ball to the outside. They weren't going anywhere. They tried a power run, 2-3 yards, maybe. Whereas on the other hand, Oregon's rush, BYU couldn't tackle them. And I understand people missing on the defensive line, but they were just breaking tackles, Whittingham and Irving in particular. Bo Nix, like, he had 9 rushes. Obviously, the 3 touchdowns is the noble part about his rushing performance. You could set up a QB sneak. You could set up any sort of power I formation run, short yardage, like 4th and 1. There was multiple 4th downs that Oregon converted. If it was power and anything short yardage, you could guarantee that Oregon was getting the yardage needed.
Yeah.
And I don't think I'd never seen this from an Oregon team before. The ability to power run. I mean, the last time you saw it was maybe Jonathan Stewart. But he was a different animal.
Looking like Tom Brady with his sneaks.
I don't know about all that. I mean, obviously
No.
five total touchdowns is great from Bo Nix. And I've seen a lot of memes with Bo Nix's face photoshopped with the Heisman Trophy. I'm not gonna go that far. I've seen that, but it's not there. It's not there. But you know, as much as I don't know what a fair final score would have been for this game, I think BYU made it more of a game than it needed to be. But some other takeaways I want people to maybe think about from this game. Just some things. Obviously, this Oregon team is not the same team in Week 1 against Georgia.
Oh.
With that in mind, what does that say about how good Georgia is?
Not much, actually.
Not much? Okay. I mean,
that squad had another crazy game this week.
Yeah, they did give the work to Spencer Rattler and the Gamecocks, but
oh God,
another skull on the mantle, as you will. But you know, I like the crazy thing is that if they kept Bo Nix in for the 2 drives that Ty Thompson got, this Oregon's scoring over 50. Because whenever Bo Nix was on the field, it was hard for BYU to stop. Whether it be through the air, whether it be on the ground, you know. And BYU scoring 20s because Oregon took its foot off the gas a little bit. But, okay, and then one last thing about this game. I hate how people are calling this that BYU had the chance to upset Oregon when, in reality, I think it was the Ducks upsetting BYU.
It was because BYU was ranked higher.
Yeah, and I think that's just kind of like how people view the like the independence, like, you know, the Notre Dame's. They're always viewed, well, this Notre Dame's viewed poorly for a reason. We'll get to that, but independents are just viewed as like a lesser because they're not in a conference and they don't really have.
Yeah.
They can have really weak schedules if they want to. Um, but I don't know. I don't think this game should be overlooked. I'm not saying this is the Ducks being ranked 18 in the latest poll. 1 second, I'm gonna look this up. Sorry, that Washington's
It's
18.
15.
We'll get to
15.
that. They're 15. I think that's pretty much perfect for where they need to be. I don't really see them going much higher or much lower. They've got a really big game coming up this next weekend. But we'll get to that in our preview show a couple days from now. But yeah, I think this is where we transition to going to South Bend, Indiana. How do you guys feel about that one?
I'll let AJ go first on this.
I don't have many thoughts on it, really. Honestly, I didn't pay much to it, for being really honest. But like I said, I have notes. I don't have much thought on it.
Not much thought. Okay, that is fair.
Like I said, like I didn't really consume many of the games this week because
Mhm.
I watched, I looked around, but I don't have anything. I just be rambling. I don't have any viable thoughts for it.
Okay. I guess that's for you now, Mike.
No, making you do it first.
Making me go it first. Okay. Um, Notre Dame comes out with the win, 24-17. My initial thought of this game, I'd say this game is more Cal losing the game than it is Notre Dame winning it. I know that's diminishing a little bit of Notre Dame's effort in the game, and I don't want to be that guy. But obviously, Cal had the chance to maybe send it to overtime with the Hail Mary. But again, Notre Dame didn't impress. They didn't do anything that was crazy. Like Cal's offense wasn't crazy coming in. Like Jake Plummer's great. Don't misunderstand me. But
all I have to say is that quarterback, they have to figure something out with that quarterback room because neither of them look like they know what they're doing at all.
No, Pine has I don't know.
They lose the next BYU and Stanford. They lose all three of those. If they don't lose to UNLV as well, and then they have Syracuse right after that, and then Clemson. They might not win another game this season. They're awful. Their defense is, not where it typically is. Their offense is just horrific.
Yeah.
They have to figure something out. In fact, right, they're going to just plummet. They're not going to do anything at all this year. They have.
Yeah, I mean it's a defense that is what it needs to be. So it's a defense that if you had a good offense would do what it needs to do for the offense to outscore the other team. Problem is you don't have the offense to do that. So when you have a Cal team that puts up 20 against UNLV and almost loses that game,
Jesus Christ.
It's I don't know. It's a not a great situation. I think this is a very vulnerable Notre Dame team that might get there. I don't know. I wouldn't say that what's his face. What is their coach's name? Oh my God. I'm looking this up. Marcus Freeman. For his first win of his coaching career, this wasn't particularly enthralling.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a hard road for him this year. I hope, there's that whole adage about, teams start finding their form, week 4, week 5, week 6. Once you get into November, it's probably too late. I just don't know what I am not seeing in this Notre Dame team that they're going to be able to find. Is it a passing game? I don't know what's going on with Pine and if he's going to be a good enough quarterback. Is it their rushing game? It could be. They could just be a really good rushing team for the rest of the season. But I don't know. I'm not sure what to expect of this Notre Dame team, and it will be this is probably the last game of theirs we'll cover for a little bit, purely because, I mean, they have the game against UNC. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, like, we'll cover them again if they flounder, but you go ahead, Mike.
All right, so of course I have a bit of bias here. I usually rope California teams, but man, it is very disappointing to see this Notre Dame team come from a top 10 school to barely beating Cal.
Yeah.
By man, they also did not look convincing during the game. Oh, why did the game recap open for me?
That
Hate
is
this.
nice.
I love it. But yeah,
I
man, Cal in their passing game looked not bad, but they didn't look good either. I think there's potential in that passing game with what Jack Plummer, right? Um,
Yeah, I
I
think it's Jake
really
or Jake or Jack. Yeah, it's one of the two.
was yeah, I did not like Drew Pine that game. Did not really excite me as a guy who really likes their quarterbacks. I also didn't like their defense outside of Jacob Lacey.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then Cal's just Cal on defense where they don't do anything.
Yeah,
don't
I still think Cal might be a little scary for some teams coming up. I think they have
But yeah,
potential if, like, obviously Plummer threw for he was 16 of 37. If that completion percentage goes up, that is a scary team. I mean,
yeah,
not as scary as some other Pac-12 teams that we'll talk about, or I mean, one in particular that we're going to talk about next. But I'm liking how the Pac-12 is looking this year because they're going out generally. They're going out of conference and winning. Now Utah obviously lost to Florida. Cal's lost to Notre Dame now, but you have.
yeah,
I don't want to get ahead of ourselves about Washington because that's the next game, but we have Wazoo going to Madison and beating Wisconsin. And I'm sure there's some other examples that I'm not forgetting about. And I'm also, not a game we're covering. I'm looking at you, UCLA. How are you almost going to lose to South Alabama? I understand they're a good Sun Belt school, but the fact you needed them to F up on fourth down and go for a really gutsy call to win that game, that is unbelievable. Um, anyways, enough spoilery things. Let's go to the Alaska Airlines field at Husky Stadium. Imagine shilling out your college stadium up in Seattle, Washington, where it's another one of like the BYU Oregon situations where the score's just generous to Michigan State, and you have a sneaky potential Heisman candidate in fifth year Michael Penix Jr. on
yeah.
Washington, the Indiana transfer, of course. Um,
yeah, looked very good in that game, by the way.
yeah, I it was it was
I'd
definitely
like the
a
completion
good sight to
percentage
see.
to be a bit higher, but
Say that
I'd
again.
like the
Man,
completion to be a bit higher, 60%. But those four touchdowns
Mm-hmm.
for 400 yards cannot be denied. I do have to say though, also being a Big Ten team, I have to give it to Michigan State. They went into that half with that score being 29-8, and then they made it 39-20. So, that's not bad. That's not
Yeah,
bad considering. Especially that fourth quarter, they dropped 14 points to Washington's 3.
I mean, yeah,
That
but
I mean, honestly, very close. But I mean, that interception from Peyton Thorne really killed them, and then it honestly just looked like they couldn't get the ball rolling on the ground. 27 yards from Jalen Burke
mm-hmm.
and 12 from Peyton Thorne. I mean, for a combined around 30 rushing yards compared to Washington's, Cameron Davis by himself had double that with the 69 nice yards on 17 attempts. So that's you got to be able to get the ball on the ground because that's the kind of stuff that happens. If you ever here's the thing that I've always noticed, and I'm not a big, I'm not like I've not always been a super big sports guy, but I mean I can always tell this. If your rushing yards are low, if you go look in the interception column, there's typically at least one. You have to
yeah,
then you have to start forcing stuff because nothing else is working. Then you have to start forcing stuff because you can't do anything else but throw the ball. The defense can read that. The defense knows what you're doing every time that the ball snaps. You have to be able to diversify your play call. And if you can't rush, honestly, I would say if you can't pass the ball and you can rush, I'd rather have that because you can't just throw a whole bunch of picks. If you're rushing for about 150 yards and only getting about 120 passing yards, I mean as long as there's no interceptions or any turnovers, I talked about the other day. I think turnovers are a way bigger deal than people give them credit for. Like how he made that example last week with Kansas City Chiefs and the Los Angeles Chargers. That
Hmm.
turnover changed the whole game. That in the game, they were in control the whole time. One turnover was all it takes. In this case, it wasn't just the one turnover; it was the early start going 29-8. But you have to be able to diversify your play call there, and they just looked like Washington to shut that down. So
Hmm.
I noticed.
Mike, would you like to go next, or did you?
Yeah. I'll go. So something I really liked seeing from this game because I watched it live since I am researching Big Ten opponents.
You little USC gremlin.
Yeah. Uh, Jalen Polk and Jalen McMillan. Polk had a crazy game. 153 yards on 6 catches, averaging 25 yards a catch with 3 touchdowns. That is wild. And McMillan had himself a kind of a similar game, but again, it's not as good as Polk. And of course, Penix was really good. You know what? It would have been real. You know, as a quarterback, you feel bad when you're 3 yards off of a 400-yard game. You know, you're heading into the locker room like we won, but I didn't get 400 yards. But and then if we go to Michigan State, Peyton Thorne looked really good. 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, 323 yards. Of course, he had a good game, but again, that rush offense just was not good. Kellen Coleman looked good to me. Love him. 2 touchdowns. Defense didn't do anything outstanding. 0 sacks, 0 INTs, and that's where they lost this game. That's pretty much my thoughts.
Yeah. Um, Having 1.5 yards per carry, not just gonna nuke anything, even if you are an air raid offense. Like, this shouldn't be happening. It I don't know, man. That's
Yeah.
something that needs to get sorted. Um, but yeah,
You're rushing the ball times. You're rushing the ball 10 times, and you're getting a 1.2 yards. And that's the thing. Also, look at the long run on that.
yeah. I feel like
21
that's
yards.
yeah,
How did I mean some of those? He had to have gone back -9 yards.
yeah. I don't know how they count sacks and rushing yards though. Hopefully they don't.
I don't know
But
how that. Yeah,
They
I don't know
don't.
okay,
that's tough.
I don't think the NFL does.
yeah.
So
It's it. I heard this point. It's not like 42 yards rushing is not inherently a game killer unless you invest 28 plays on it, right? It's
yeah,
like this was not an insignificant part of their game plan, and it's just completely it's whack. It's wackadoodle. And but Washington obviously had a great game. I think all the major points have been covered already. Um, going into this game with Washington being a 3.5 point favorite, I must admit I thought that was wild that they would be favored going in. I mean, I understand the importance of home field, but I thought Michigan State was a decent enough team to go in and maybe I don't think that would be no one would consider that an upset, but apparently Vegas knew better than we did. I know
Vegas
I
always
didn't
knows
predict
what
that
I'm
this wasn't part of our prediction show, but I would have not
Wait,
predicted Michigan State to lose this.
if Vegas is always right, then Kyler Murray's a Tampa Bay Buccaneer this next season. I
Okay,
win.
that's
I fucking win. I fucking win.
copium.
Nope.
Yeah, go get your goat to go spend time with his wife, bro. Um, yeah,
So we're on the topic of rating. Talk about how they had to give him Wednesdays off.
does he actually get Wednesdays off now?
He does.
They said he has a veteran day, like a veteran day of rest or something like that on Wednesday.
That's okay.
Divorce court, bro.
Divorce course.
Yeah.
Okay.
Why do you
Next
have to make that
next game. We got. This one wasn't part of our preview, as the last one wasn't as well. But this one is involving another surprise Heisman candidate. The Kansas Jayhawks are 3-0 for the first time since 2009. They actually go to Duke next week, who's also 3-0. Imagine two really good basketball teams going. Their football teams are actually not doing too bad right now.
March right now? Is that March?
What's up?
I like March with these teams having such.
Oh, it's March Madness going on in October, or I guess
March Madness
it's
in
gonna be
September.
September. Yeah. But yeah, Jane Daniels, 3 touchdowns through the air, 2 on the ground. Comeback victory. They went in here. Houston was favored by almost 9, and they come back, win 48-30. There isn't a lot. I wanted to touch on this game purely because of Jaden Daniels' performance. I thought it was noteworthy. I mean, man's
Yeah.
looking great. And another thing to note, Kansas's over-under win total going into this season was 2.5. So if you bet that over, you're already winning. So
Yeah.
I was so close to betting it too. I was this close because I'm like, what are the odds that Kansas can't just get 3 wins?
Atlas flounder.
Yeah, it is. It is an Atlas flounder. Also, Arizona's over/under win total was 2.5. I don't know what they're on right now. I think they're at 2. I don't understand why I don't bet some of
Atlas
these.
throwing.
Yeah, I'm really.
Atlas throwing.
Wait, hang on. I just had to mention something real fast. Is Atlas gambling on Twitch?
We don't talk about that.
Technically, sports gambling is still allowed. So I mean,
Yeah, it's just we don't steal people's money and then not pay them back. Yeah, slick.
that's fired.
So yeah, I mean, Jane Daniels had like almost a combined 300 yards. He ran for 120, threw for 150.
Mm-hmm.
Great day. And I mean, it's not like Houston was bad either. I mean, they put up 30, but Jaden Daniels won Kansas a game, and we'll see how far that gets him this year. Anyone got anything else to add to that?
Nope.
I mean, individually scored more points than that whole team. I mean, half of them he
Yeah.
He just had to use. And then literally, there were a couple of guys there that randomly had like really good rushes, like Savion Morrison, and then you have Quentin Skinner,
Mm-hmm.
both for 30 and 18, one attempt apiece. That was nuts. But I don't really want to consider that average like anything crazy since they both just got those 1 rushes. Let's look at Jalen Daniels and those attempts. Each time he's running for a 10. So if you're on 1st and 10, theoretically you could just give the ball to this man and he'll get you a first down. That's insane. And then, like I said with the other guys, these, they're still getting. This is just week 3, and then Houston isn't like just an absolute terrible team either. I'd like to see a higher completion percentage. We're only at 60%, which isn't bad, but
Mm-hmm.
you like it a lot farther apart, and things wouldn't have had to have been more of like a somewhat of a comeback attempt. It would have been you guys are ahead from the get-go.
Yeah.
But it's still 3 touchdowns with your arm and 2 with your legs. I mean, you can't fight that at all. That's very solid. I think
Yeah.
that he enter the Heisman conversation eventually. This team just has to establish themselves first because we've never seen it. Like, I can't think of anybody unless it's a rare circumstance that somebody goes in and wins a Heisman and they're like on an unranked team. Has that ever happened? I don't think it has.
No. But I mean, I guess unless Kansas just goes like 10-2, I mean, they'd be ranked at that point.
Yeah.
But I'm also not saying that Daniels is like Stroud or Young level. I don't think he is.
Yeah.
I don't think unless he's gonna have to consistently prove by winning Kansas games that he's worth of a.
Right. I mean,
like I honestly.
they have some tough games ahead.
Yeah, if Kansas goes even like 8-4, I know he's probably not going to win on that if it's like, it's going to be, Bryce Young winning because Alabama's number 2 and going to the college football playoff or whatnot. But I think there will be definitely a discussion if it comes to that case and Jaden Daniels has got Kansas State in 4 that he maybe be more deserving, but it's also, again, it's one of those cases where the Heisman isn't always given out based on statistical betterness,
And I do have to say this: they play some pretty solid squads. On their remaining schedule, they don't have anybody who has a negative record. Actually everybody
Well, yeah, the Big 12
who's
is
lost a game.
looking
I mean,
okay this year. Like, I know they
yeah,
cannibalize themselves eventually, but that's the common script for the Big
that's how they
12 and the
always do.
Pac-12.
Right. So I mean, they're gonna. They're. I think they could win the next 2 games. I mean, Iowa State's gonna be pretty tough.
Hmm.
TCU is gonna be pretty tough. Like, I think I see them having significant trouble against Oklahoma and
Yeah.
probably Baylor as well. So maybe that's where the campaign and the dream might die a little bit. But also at the same time, those will be games that will decide that. If he can lead them to wins over those schools, I think that he can definitely leapfrog in that conversation if he
Hmm.
takes down teams like Baylor, and then you go a couple weeks away, you have Texas Tech and Texas right after, then Kansas State. Like, this schedule is not easy,
Oh, for sure.
and if this kid, I mean, they won the games that they had early because they needed to.
Hmm.
They I mean, they had to go to overtime for the Mountaineers, but that they're not a terrible team either.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mountaineers have. Oh,
they
what's
just
his
have to.
name? Mountaineers have the JT Daniels, the transfer from Georgia. Is that
Oh,
right?
yeah, pretty damn.
Yeah. Okay. Another Daniels, huh?
Yeah,
Um.
yeah. Also, didn't have too bad of a game, but they also had Will Crowder come in and have.
Mhm.
But yeah, that like I said, I think that kid has a serious chance because of his schedule difficulty. And he's
Mhm.
got to keep on proving
Yeah.
to do this. And I think that he's gonna have to get a little bit more involved in the air because if you almost have, I know I said earlier that I'd almost rather you have more rushing yards, but I mean as like a unit,
Mhm.
as a player, especially if
Yeah.
you have to have more yards in the air for stuff like this to happen. But I think that he could do it.
Yeah, for sure. Well, there's. I'm gonna rapid fire through a couple games now, just because I don't want to go into the games too much. I just want to talk about maybe things that happened or things I noticed. I think the first one we should go to App State in Troy, where College Game Day was in Boone, North Carolina. Um, what a way to end a game. I mean, if you
Yeah.
haven't seen the highlight, go watch it. That's all we can say about the game. App State won 32-28. Um, last second tip drill, Hail Mary worked. And App State has had a crazy year so far. Um, I want to. So obviously their one loss is to UNC. But I swear they dropped like. Let me see. Yeah, they dropped 61 points in that loss, and lost. Crazy. It's week 3 and they've had one of the craziest schedules so far. I just want to see how App State does the rest of the year. I don't really expect them to do anything crazy, but
I don't think they're going to be ranked really. I don't think.
I mean, I've seen some people put them at like number 25 in their rankings because they beat Texas A&M, but I don't know. I think they deserve it to be there over Miami. I mean, that doesn't make sense. Miami loses to Texas A&M. App State beats them. But yeah, but the same logic. We'll see what happens with UNC. Um, other games though. We talked about this one earlier. UCLA narrowly beating South, or narrowly losing to, well, they barely beat them.
Yeah.
South Alabama. Kind of sketch. Something to look
Mm-hmm.
forward at,
Yeah.
because a lot of people were looking at this UCLA team as being a sleeper in the Pac-12 South. Um, they can't play like they played against South
Well, that
Alabama.
aged well.
Yeah, that aged well. Yeah. But I don't know, just rapid fire. Other teams that looked really sketchy. Florida, South Florida. That would have gone to
Yeah.
overtime, but South Florida didn't miss a field goal. And a number 18 team losing to not a good South Florida team. They're just, yeah, something weird going on there. Um,
Yeah.
I'm just making sure I didn't. If I'm missing anything? I don't think so.
USC Fresno.
Um, the game was kind of underwhelming. I mean,
I know.
USC. Speaking of Heisman candidates, Caleb Williams is someone to look
Caleb
at.
Williams.
Admittedly, I don't know. I don't know. They haven't really played anyone, but Fresno State was their first good game, I'd say. And they thoroughly handled them there. Spoiler word for next week. We will, or for a couple days from now, we will be talking about the Oregon State USC game because I think Oregon State's underrated, and this will be the first really good test for USC.
Yeah, I just wanted to highlight. I wanted to highlight.
Too.
I wanted to highlight two performances of this game. That's not
Mhm.
Caleb Williams. Austin Jones and Travis Dye, both 100-yard rushing games.
I know
Both.
he's a Judas. I know he's a Judas. I went to South California, but Travis Dye, I'll still root for you.
Bro,
Just not when we
Travis
play
Dye.
you.
Holy
Bro,
goat.
can you imagine Oregon's offense if Travis Dye stayed?
Dude, Travis Dye is like our second running back.
He doesn't deserve to be second running back, though. He's so good. I don't understand why he would transfer to be a backup. It makes no sense to me. It's like okay, I don't.
No. He clearly knew that Caleb Williams was going to be on this team.
Well, okay, yeah, that and I mean coaching and
Lincoln Riley.
Yeah, coaching instability at Oregon. That is a good reason to leave. But
yeah, I dip.
Oh, this is another game I want to touch on for a second. Arkansas, Missouri State. You might be wondering, well, Arkansas won 38-27. What's the matter? They were losing going into the fourth quarter. In fact, Missouri State was up by a touchdown. Arkansas's got a very tough schedule coming up. They're going to Texas A&M. Wait. Yeah, they're not going to Texas A&M. They're playing in the empty Jim Jones Arena. What the heck's the Dallas Cowboys owner? They're playing in Arlington. Who cares? Yeah, it's this is another instance of a really good quarterback, Jefferson, leading the Razorbacks back, but you can't put 21 points up in the fourth quarter to save yourself against Missouri State and then expect to beat Texas A&M. Yeah, I don't have much to say more beyond that. Anything else? Me scrolling through the scoreboard.
No, that's just kind of.
Oh.
I just kind of saw.
Jordan Addison, by the way. Anyways.
Actually, I do got one more game before we hang it up.
Alright.
Wake Forest Liberty. Now, this is not something I want to super deep dive in.
Malik Willis.
Yeah, it's formerly Malik Willis'
Should
school.
we start in Tennessee?
I think he should sit for a year, but I also think it's convenient that he should sit for this year before Ryan Tannehill is fine, but he also has a much less buyout clause next season, so you wonder what you think's going to happen. But Wake Forest only won by 37-36. Wake Forest goes to Clemson, or maybe Clemson goes to Wake Forest. Anyways, they're playing each other next week. Wake Forest got smacked by Clemson last time they played, and Wake Forest is obviously ranked number, I think they're 20 now, maybe 19. Let me look. They're 21. It's a ranked matchup. We'll talk about it later in the preview podcast we'll do later. But
Friday,
I am
probably.
I think Wake Forest is one of those teams in the top 25 that is like the closest to just not being there. I don't think they've shown anything in these first three games that is like, oh my, like wowzers, this team is like, a top 25 team. But I don't know, the Demon Deacons, they're just, who knows? Let's see. They could prove us wrong against Clemson. Not that Clemson is a particularly good-looking number 5 team right now, but
yeah.
Figure wisely there because they are number 5 in the country, but that doesn't mean that they are a great elite.
Yeah, like I think USC's talent roster is better than Clemson's, and I don't think that's that crazy of a sentence.
Thank you.
I mean, look, your starting quarterback's DJ Uiagalelei at Clemson. He still hasn't impressed me.
Impressed me with how bad he is.
I mean, look, I know you probably can't start Cade Klubnik over Uiagalelei because at the same time he's like another 5-star recruit that your boosters have shoved a bunch of money at, and they're not gonna take no for an answer. That's like, why is DJ Uiagalelei not playing? But seems exposable.
Very exposable. I think they go down. I mean, eventually. Let me take a look at this. I think at least in the next 3 weeks, unless they're playing just garbage teams. I think Forest could do it. They're going maybe North Carolina.
I think could, but I don't know. They have. I heard this stat.
All that by the schedule.
hmm I heard this stat on the Late Kick with Josh Pate. Honestly, one of the best college football podcasts out there. Um, but Wake Forest has 39 people on their team that are fifth, sixth, or seventh year players,
Which is wild.
which
That
is
is wild.
wild. You want to talk about recruiting, like experience that probably have a bad taste in their mouth after getting smacked around by Clemson last time. You think some people want some revenge? How about some brooding seventh years?
That's the equivalent
But
of the
they did
Lakers
really
last
well.
season.
Yeah, it is. um, but yeah, there's
But
some.
here's the thing, though. I mean, that is true. They might be out looking for vengeance, but I mean, they also looked very vulnerable against Liberty last year, going 37-36.
Yeah,
Last year.
last week, yeah.
I mean, the game was solid. They didn't play terribly.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing in that game is 2 interceptions. I hate that.
Yeah.
2 interceptions on both sides of the ball. They're lucky because if they throw one less interception over there on the Liberty side, they probably win that game.
Yeah.
And also, I don't see any rushing. Like I said,
Nope.
if there's anything that if there's any reason that Clemson is where they are right now, it's because of the defense.
Mm-hmm.
Because their offense has been, not absolutely terrible, but it's definitely not been what it should be.
Mm-hmm.
It hasn't been good since Trevor Lawrence left. I'm just saying.
Yeah, they had a lot of talent leave that class.
Yeah, Travis Etienne's gone.
Mm-hmm.
Winning that game, so they have to go to the lab and they have to do something.
Mm-hmm.
And they have to figure out how to get this squad to, run the football. Because I mean, you have Keyshawn Williams, that looks amazing. Even Donovan Green and Jamal Banks look good. Especially Jamal Banks.
Both USC running backs clear, by the way.
Stop.
Don't care.
Jamal Banks, like on 6 receptions. But Keyshawn goes for 129 yards of 5 attempts. They have the air game, but do they have the ground game? I think that'll be what I think that'll be kind of what decides it, because I mean,
yeah.
Kadon Soft had trouble this past week with 19 for 34 and 2 interceptions. Yikes! Not terrible, but not great.
Yeah.
They could definitely. What was it? DJ. I'm not even gonna attempt to say that name because I committed Atlas for being able.
Ualongale. I'm not even sure if I'm saying it right, but
No, I think that's how you. I
yeah.
believe it.
But
yeah. I think that their defense will expose him, but is their offense going to be able to take advantage of him exposing the offense? I think it'll honestly be a low score. I mean, I don't think that it's going to be anything too crazy.
Yeah, well, you'll hear about that and more on our preview podcast later this week, probably on Friday. Well, we'll do it on Friday on stream. Hopefully.
And they get the video out apparently like 18 days later.
Yeah. Well, the video's ready, Mike. It's on the channel. The video's
ready. I know. I've been busy today.
Yeah, I can just put the tags on it. We can post it. That's fine.
Yeah,
but just for some spoilers for what games we might be covering, I don't think the Red River rivalry. That's Texas Tech, right? That's the name of that rivalry.
I believe so.
It might get covered, but I think there's. I don't know. We'll see. I want to cover like 4 or 5 games. I'm not sure if that's the top 4 or 5 game. Florida, Tennessee. That's definitely going to be on there. Oregon, Wazoo. USC, Oregon State. Both. I think all of those games. I think the Tennessee one might actually be outside this. Are within a touchdown on the line. Let's see what else. Clemson, Wake Forest. We'll probably talk about that. Yeah. I'm trying to remember what other good games are there next week.
Wisconsin and Ohio State.
Ohio State was. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about this Wisconsin team.
I mean, it's
Arkansas, Texas A&M. That one, that'll be on there.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's that interesting that OSU Ohio State's playing an unranked school and they're ranked number 3. But that just may be me.
Yeah, well, I mean, look,
It's
it's not. It's
Ohio.
Wisconsin's never a bad team, right?
It may be.
Even if they're unranked and they finish like 7-5, they're a scary team for whoever goes against them.
They own in the Las Vegas Pro Bowl.
Pro
bro.
Bowl, nice, nice.
2013, last year.
What's up?
Ducks. I just want to. Atlas has gotten to talk about his Ducks. I just want to talk about my Bucks, man.
Your Bucks, bro? Yeah, talk about you. I mean, you can talk about the Bucks.
Number 3
Oh,
school.
we can talk about that Wisconsin game if you so choose. I'm more picking the Ducks game because it's top 5, and I honestly think Washington State should be a ranked team. I think it is wild that the team that goes into Wisconsin and wins in Madison isn't ranked as an undefeated team over like Miami, over Wake Forest,
BYU.
BYU
They
beat
could be
Baylor, so
Yeah, I mean, I don't really see.
We're arguing mid, bro.
I don't.
yeah, I don't know. I think Washington State should be like somewhere between 20 and 25. I think they're actually the first team out. I think they're ranked 26th in the AP. But someone's gonna have to fact check me on that one. Anyways, that's today's episode of SMQB. We'll see you again on a general episode probably
Hopefully.
of AMA Sports Show 2 days from now. It still says Kansas at Houston on the current topic, which is funny. But Mike is dabbing. Thank you guys so much for watching. Take care. This is not me ending the stream, but YouTube, peace.